Welcome to my DIY wreath tutorial based on products available in my Contemporary Wreath Kit. I will be showing you one way to create a half hoop wreath. The tips and techniques used in this tutorial can be used with greens and grasses collected from your own yard or ordered from your local florist. Let's begin. In your kit you will find your chosen size brass hoop. There are a few sizes available. In this tutorial, I'll be using the 8-inch size hoop. Your kit will also include brass paddle wire or paper wrapped wire. The items of your own you will need are sharp scissors for ribbon or for the wire cutters for the greens and the wire, or garden cutters for the greens. Optional is to have a glue gun if you'd like to add some details after. The kit also includes several different stems of prairie pampas grass, pieces of preserved white ruscus, fresh stems of silver dollar eucalyptus, and freshly cut cedar boughs. Your kit may also have an extra type of greenery called juniper. So let's begin. To begin your wreath, I recommend pre-cutting your greens into smaller pieces. This will help you create all the little gathered bunches to place around the hoop. With the cedar, cut the stem at every 3 or 4 bracts or sections, making sure to leave a stem piece to wire to the hoop. You can use the same technique for the silver dollar eucalyptus and also for the preserved ruscus. With the preserved ruscus, you can also cut the long pieces in half too. The pampas grass requires a bit more separating to find where to cut. You need to look at the main stem by pulling away some of the grass bracts. You should be able to find pieces that don't have any of the grass bits coming off it. Also, again, make sure you cut the grasses so you have little bits of stem that you'll be able to include in your bunches for wiring. Some of the pieces may be small enough you don't need to separate them into smaller pieces. Those you can just cut the main stem shorter. And then they're all ready to go into your little bunches. Start by just choosing a piece of your cedar, eucalyptus, and make a tiny little bunch. Take a small piece of your brass wire, about 3 inches long, and you're going to want to twist tie it around your first little bunch. Also twist tie it around your brass hoop. Keep wrapping around your bunch and the brass hoop, and then finish it off by twisting the wire together. Cut off any little ends and tuck them into your greens. This ensures you don't poke yourself when you're working. Take your brass paddle wire, wrap the end 2 times to 3 times around your brass hoop, and twist tie to tighten it against the hoop. After a few twists, just slide it up the hoop to near your bunch. This is what will enable you to keep wrapping around all the other bunches you will be creating. Take your second bunch of all your different pieces, and this time you're going to want to layer it just to cover the bottom stems and the wire on the hoop. You don't want to place it too high because it'll be harder to wire, just so it has a natural layering look, covering up the stems. Take your brass paddle wire, wrap it around your bunch. You'll be holding this little bunch with your thumb against the hoop as you're wrapping. Take your time, don't pull too hard, and wrap a few times around the stem and the hoop. If you pull too hard on the wire, it may actually break. If that happens, don't worry. Twist tie it together and keep on going, or reattach it to the hoop and keep on going. Once you finish covering about 1/4 to 1/3 of your hoop, you're going to want to cut your paddle wire about 3 inches for a tail and wrap that around the last bunch. To secure it against the hoop, you're going to want at least 1 inch or 2 that you can wrap around the brass hoop itself. Any little ends, again, tuck back into your work, back into the greenery. Now that your one side is complete, you can continue on working on the other side. The other side of the wreath will be started the same way we started the first. Your first small bunch you'll want to wrap with a small bit of wire. Again, about 3 to 4 inches, twist tying it together and then attaching it to the brass hoop. Make sure not to place it too far up. You're going to want both sides of the starting points to be even at about halfway through the diameter of the hoop. Now that you have your first bunch on the second side attached to your hoop, again, you can make your other second small bunch. You're going to need your paddle wire and one long continuous strand of wire. Attach it to the brass hoop first, and then wrap your little bunch around. Bunch around. You've made it to the end of your second side. Make sure the ends are secure in the center. From here, you can add smaller bits to fill it in. If you're happy with how it looks at this point, then cut the wire and secure it off. If you'd like to add some more to your wreath, just start adding little pieces that you have, facing opposite each other, the same way you added the bunches. You'll be holding these with your thumb against the hoop. Once you have enough pieces in place, just carefully weave your wire back around the brass hoop and all these little bits you've placed. You may want to wrap a few times, because this will be your final wrap to secure it. To secure the wire to the back, now that you have all of your bunches attached to your hoop, you're going to want to leave a bit longer of a tail. Take your piece of wire and weave it in between the hoop and your greens, and keep doing this so it's tight against the brass hoop. You may need to re-straighten the wire so it can poke through. Wrap it around a few times. If you have enough left, try to make a small knot. This just helps secure the wire wrapping. Tuck any little ends back into your greenery. Now it's time for your ribbon. Whichever ribbon you've chosen, there are a couple different ways you can attach it, depending on which way you want to hang your wreath. You can wrap it around and tuck it through a loop for a very simple look, depending on which way you want to hang it. The wider ribbon doesn't require a lot to cover up your mechanics. If you have the smaller, thin ribbon, you can wrap it around the middle at least a couple times to make sure that it all gets covered up in the middle. For my wreath, I decided to go with just a simple tied knot. You just need to gently tie the ribbon so it covers everything up, and you'll be able to move the ribbon so it can hang freely. And there you go. You've finished your wreath, and I expect it would look just as lovely. I hope you've enjoyed your time creating. Just remember, it's all about expressing your creative side. There really is no right or wrong way to do this. This is just one way to create a wreath. Thanks for watching.